fight.
You have to put treasure cruises into your miracles deck, right? Then you can counterbalance to counter their treasure cruise with your own. Is that how that works? It should work, right?
Yeah. Maybe that's a deck that actually wants dig.
Ari's on Deathblade.
It's still 8.
Malafarina says, dig it. What is he doing? The deck list starts with Veteran Explorer.
Baleful Strix. Wow. This will be entertaining to see.
4 Cabal Therapies. Wow. Yeah, a couple dig through times. It's basically playing this is going to be interesting. He does have a couple dig through times for value. Yeah, Ari's on Deathrite Shaman, Stoneforge, true name. 3 Treasure Cruise. He's got a Jeté and a Batterskull to go get with his Stoneforge Mystics. Cool. Looks like a couple of legacy
looking
lists.
through this list, like so many creatures and a lot of one-ofs, but there's no tutoring for them or anything, right?
No, is this Nick Fit? Is that the name of this archetype goes by? Yeah. It's Nick Fit. Dig it Nick Fit is what the guy's calling his deck, so. And then our backup match, Shahar, Mother of Runes, Thalia. He is indeed on Death and Taxes. So Death and Taxes is basically white weenie hate bears.
Yeah,
I guess. I mean, Thalia is the key creature. You're trying to just make your opponent's life miserable. It's got Revokers. It's also got Mystics. There's not that many hate bears. It's closer to white weenie than it is to hate bears. Just Thalia is the headliner.
It just ends up playing out a little bit differently. Like, they're looking to control the game a little bit. Like, just calling it white weenie, you're just expecting this bull rush, and that's not exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's Mother of Runes defending Thalia. It's more like... And then Mike Simpson, his opponent is on Miracles. Wait. That's not Miracles. What is that word?
It's Miracles.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great.
And Terminus. And
yeah, I saw the Snapcaster Vendilion click start and thought it was something different, but there you go.
It shows what I know about Legacy. I'm sitting here
There's not a Delver between the 4 of these.
No.
Where are the Delvers?
Hey. They've apparently solved the puzzle. They know how to deal with it.
Now, plenty of cons cards. Is that true? 3 cruises, 2 digs. The Miracles deck does not seem to have any of that. Yeah, no, it doesn't. And then Shahar, none of that fits in a white weenie deck. So, only 5 cons cards. 3 cruises and 2 digs. Awesome. Ari Lax on the right hand of your screen. Esper Deathblade leads with a Deathrite Shaman.
Now, I do think Esper is a fantastic metagame choice for this
Ari's
format.
last name. What's that? You like Deathblade?
I really like Deathblade.
Just Deathrite Shaman being able to attack their graveyard in particular, or
all of it. I mean, you get to.
True Name seems pretty well positioned, that's for sure.
True Name seems fantastic. I'm assuming there's plows and I actually think Swords to Plowshares is just a huge benefit. Just giant catch-all, no matter what they're doing. So it helps you against the field, but still fully functions against Delver decks.
Cabal Therapy.
Wow.
Do we have the ability to hear what he names?
Where do we go with a therapy for Sight Unseen? Like, just land Deathrite Shaman.
Couldn't hear what he took, but it looks like he whiffed, whatever it is. I mean, land Deathrite Shaman gives you decent information. Stoneforge might be a good name from there. I mean, Force of Will in the Dark is always a decent name. He did not name Force of Will because he appears to have whiffed. I don't know what he names. I don't know if we have a judge over there that can tell us.
Boy, I mean, Force of Will. That would have been catastrophic to that.
Force of Will would have been a hot one. Yeah, and those Cabal Therapies are just there for value. I mean, you're sacking Veteran Explorers, you've got Bale for Strixes. He's just built a deck that essentially wants to run a bunch of main deck Cabal Therapies.
Yeah, it's just tough. I mean,
4 in the main.
When your opponent's first play is Deathrite Shaman, you really have to hope that you hit with that first Cabal Therapy, because you're probably not getting a second chance at it.
True. Liliana was what he named in the dark.
Huh.
Not unreasonable. Ari goes for a ponder and a fetch and... Ooh, Stoneforge.
That is the other thing I really like about Deathblade, is being able to get a Jitte against Delver decks.
Yeah, Jitte seems really good. He goes for Batterskull here, though.
Yeah.
Not a Delver list on the other side. Cabal Therapy's live for one more turn. Deathrite Shaman had more important things to do, needed mana from it this turn. Land into Baleful Strix. Wow. Force of Will's the Baleful Strix?
Well, either that or it's getting therapy.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I mean,
you're right.
drawing a card off Baleful Strix and then sacking it to therapy, so.
Force back.
Wow. It's like, well, I'm getting those forces out of your hand, one way or the other.
Jeez, Ari forces. Can't see what he pitched. It's off screen, but three. Wow. Yeah, that Baleful Strix is pretty important there.
Yeah, a lot of action.
But it makes sense. I mean, Ari just needs to defend the ability to get this cheap Batterskull down.
Yes.
He's not even that worried. He attacked with the Deathrite Shaman. He's not interested in stealing the Cabal Therapy at this point because once he drops that Batterskull,
yeah, he already knows where that mana's going.
He's got one card left in his hand, and Malafarina doesn't know it.
Yeah, well, another Strix.
Yeah, so I mean, Ari's not as worried about this one.
No, he just gets to respond to the therapy.
Looks like he's going to go ahead and respond to the... Oh, end stub, yeah. Malafarina doesn't even bother with the therapy.
Yeah.
Batterskull token goes into the red zone. You just blocked with Strix at this point? I don't think you want to take 4.
Depends on what you want to do. I don't know if that 4 one way or the other is going to be really what decides this match.
It's going to keep coming. I mean, it forces R8. He doesn't have the mana to equip the Batterskull. He's going to have to pick it up and put it back down again.
Yeah, but between the Deathrite Shaman and everything, I mean, you have to know it's coming.
Ari plays the second Deathrite Shaman, and I believe he is Hellbent now. No cards in hand.
So at this point, I mean, if you're David, I'm not even sure what you're looking for. I mean, the Batterskull is just non-stop at this point.
Yeah, I was looking over his list to see if he has any artifact removal. He's got 3 Pernicious Deeds. I mean, I guess that's what you're looking for?
That's still a tough nut to crack. I mean, boy, Jace doesn't help a lot at this point. I mean, just for a turn. I mean, at this point, you're just trying to get a bunch of land in play, and maybe a Consecrated Sphinx could pull you out of this. That's about it. I mean, so I think that your long-term planning has to include.
Well, he goes for Jace.
Fate Seal, get it to last an extra turn.
And yeah, it ticks up. Deathrite Shaman going to start doing what it does. Eat that, eat that. Oh, so with the 2 Deathrite Shamans, he was able to get the 5 mana in order to equip Batterskull onto Stoneforge Mystic. So, Jace goes down anyway.
Yeah.
Going up to 5 didn't even help. Down goes Jace. Ari's up to 27. Drag Tusk.
Oh, wow.
That's not nothing.
No, it blocks a couple times.
I mean, Stoneforge is 5/6. Yeah, blocks a couple times, but
yeah, it gives you some life. Like I said, I mean, I have to think he's just trying to stay alive to get lanes into play, and the only card I see pulling him out of this is a Consecrated Sphinx. And Consecrated Sphinx draws a lot of cards.
Alright, Thragtos did take one for the team. Trying to decide how to represent the 3/3 that's in play, but there should be a 3/3 in play. Another therapy.
Oh, and he hit whatever he named. He's already lost a card. Hey!
There's the Pernicious Deed. That could clean up. What does Ari do about Pernicious Deed? Not much, right?
Oh, it's a Better Skull?
True.
I mean, it is more of a short-term solution here.
Yeah, Ari attacks with the Vigilant Stoneforge Mystic. David, of course, chumps with his 3/3. Yeah, Ari just needs to never tap down to the point where Pernicious Deed can get the Batterskull.
Yeah, and he can't wait forever to pop the deed because those Deathrite Shamans are going to start getting really annoying.
I mean, Ari will lose the Mystic. He will lose the 2 Shamans, so he's actually a land away from being able to replay the Batterskull as well.
Right.
You can just hope he goes a while without playing a land.
Yeah, so he's decided he's going to wait and give Ari another turn to tap down below the mana to bounce the Batterskull. Apparently we're trying to decide exactly when or where this is going to happen.
There's the deed. Ari picks up the Batterskull as a response. Everything else gets swept away. Now here's a Thoughtseize.
Well, bounces the Deathrite to keep him off the ability to play the Batterskull.
Sure.
That's going to present a different problem. Now we're probably back to digging. Yep. Run the Brainstorm first. Get a little bit deeper in the deck. I mean, there's just not a whole lot of very profitable lines at this point. It's just racing to get something in the way of Batterskull plus those creatures.
Brainstorms with Jace. Glenalundra Archmage. If it wasn't for the second Mystic coming off the top, that could actually stop Batterskull from coming back, but the Mystic can cheat those into play pretty well. Can cheat both the Jete and the Batterskull in and around the Glenalundra.
But at least he'll get a chance to protect Jace. And get another Brainstorm. He does have a sack land in play. I mean, he's getting to see a lot of cards in his deck. There's just the cards in his deck.
You think Consecrated Sphinx is the one he's really digging for?
I mean, I just glanced through his list. I mean, Frost Titan helps, depending.
Sure.
But, I mean, if it was me, I'd have my fingers crossed every new card I saw that it was Consecrated Sphinx. because it's going to take a tremendous, just sheer number of cards to deal with the Jitte and the Batterskull. And so
Ari
he
goes
chose
for
not
the-
to counter the Jitte.
Did it get... It got cast?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would have had to crack the fetch land to counter it. Maybe contributing to why he didn't want to.
Yeah, he may have
I am a
something
little
very good on
surprised by
top.
that, though. No, he cracks fetch land end step.
And he...
Why do you not counter the Jitte there? Did Ari sneak it in end step when we weren't watching?
No. Because he's 4 mana tapped.
Yeah?
Let's play it and equip it. Archmage 2/2 or 2/3?
Yeah, 2/2.
2/2, okay. Nope, every turn I'm just sitting here. Yeah, Consecrated Sphinx would be great. Or Land Consecrated Sphinx would be great.
All right. David goes for Cabal Therapy. Ari kills Clenolendra as a response. Doesn't want to allow David to be able to sack the Clenolendra to flash back the Cabal Therapy.
Oh, so I've been sitting here talking about that Batterskull forever. Was that the card that he hit with the therapy that we couldn't hear?
Yeah. All the more reason to counter Jitte, right?
We get to play more Magic this way.
David has done an impressive job of whittling away Ari's resources. Ari's down to just a Jitte, not much left in his hand.
Oh.
Draws Vendilion Click.
Draw step, click you, and it looks like dig in response.
Interesting. Dig Through Time is the first Cons of Tarkir card we see cast.
Starting to get interesting.
Oh, I guess one reason not to counter the Jitte is that Jace would die to the attacks from Stoneforge plus Death Rate.
No, it comes back.
It comes back as a 1/1. Yeah, you're right. It still doesn't die. It means you're not killing the Death Rate, is what it means. Like,
yes.
he blocked Death Rate and was able to kill either of the 1/2s. So yeah, I think he just valued having a 2/2 blocker to defend Jace with.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't know the intricacies of these two decks against each other, where I'm guessing a lot of Legacy players do. Oh wow, still, let's dig again.
Dig Through Time is now the second Cons of Tarkir card we see cast.
And thoroughly highlighting its biggest plus being that it's an instant, so I think we're still in the draw step here.
All of this was his response to that Vendilion Click, and he found Force of Will. Pitches a click of his own. No click for you. Jace. Brainstorming? Ticking up? Yeah, he's going to Fate Seal so that it doesn't die to the Stoneforge.
Very curious what that last card is. I mean, after 2 dig through times, I have to feel like it's pretty good.
Yeah. Ari does get a hit in for 1 with the Stoneforge, which of course picks up 2 Jitte counters.
Is that Frost Titan?
Yeah, Frost Titan. Locking down the Stoneforge Mystic.
Here we go.
Still in Fate Seal mode on Jace.
Well, I mean, with that Frost Titan,
Oh, swords to plowshares off the top. I could hear Ari's clap of excitement from across the room there.
wow. Well, the life helps. Still looking for that Sphinx. Let's just hope it was not one of those cards that ended up on the bottom of his deck through those dig through times. Oh, that helps. That helps a lot. He's found a deed. Like, if he can just have... Oh, it doesn't even need deed lane. It's just deed for 2.
Wow. Yeah, that's nice. That's exactly what he does. And Ari continues to top deck things. How about choose you as the opponent for True Name Nemesis? That could be a problem.
That was one of the best cards to have on top of your deck right there.
He's been quite the top decks. He's top decked Swords to Plowshares followed by True Name Nemesis.
They call him a champ
Here's
for
the
a
Consecrated
reason.
Sphinx.
And that's it.
Wow. Ari not interested in playing that game out. He knows the Consecrated Sphinx is going to deliver so much card advantage that David will eventually find an answer to the True Name or kill him. Either way.
Yeah.
Versus Jace and Consecrated Sphinx, Ari just instantly scoops them up. That was a quick scoop, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would like to see the top card on my deck. I mean, maybe it's yet another Swords to Plowshares. And True Name can start beating on that Jace, but I could have also missed a couple of interactions. I'm trying to think if Ari would have, for any reason, known the top of his deck.
I don't think so. Yeah, I would have peeked for a sword, for a plow. Maybe he did,
Yeah.
and then scooped. That's more likely, actually. Wow. That was a game. There's some haymakers flying back and forth.
Well,
And Brian David Marshall wanders over just shaking his head.
So I've been keeping a list. I've been trying to figure out what percentage of the cards in Magic are playable in Legacy. And
Okay.
I just added 2 that weren't previously on my list.
What were your 2 additions?
Titan and Consecrated Sphinx.
Frost Titan and Consecrated
I don't know, maybe
Sphinx?
they've been
so
before.
Veteran Explorer was already on your list?
And Ari Lax asked if Thrag Tusk was already on the list too.
Nice.
Oh, I think Consecrated Sphinx is playable in any format.
Sure.
That thing draws a lot of cards.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, Ari just conceded to it, right? It's just
Crazy. So David Malafarina. We thought Ari had him. The early
He certainly had him on the ropes for a long time.
had him on the ropes.
But
The early Stoneforge for Batterskull.
kept hitting his land drops and got that deed into play, and things really turned around.
so. This is, by the way, about Ari's opponent's pack deck. He
Okay.
loves this deck. He's tuning it. He's always constantly adjusting it, working it. Like it's not like a random collection of cards that are thrown together. This
Sure.
is he calls it a masterpiece.
Looked good that round.
Yeah, it got the job done. That draw step dig. Wow. Dig into Force of Will that. And plus. Like, +1. Just well done.
So they have what, 30 minutes left? It felt like they were playing pretty fast.
There was a couple of times when, I mean, we were even silent. We just saw a couple sides with a card or 2 in hand, 5
Yeah.
lands that slowed down a touch. But no, they're both playing at a fine pace. No, so yeah, it was. We were looking at the list. It was, oh, there's Consecrated Sphinx, and I guess Frost Titan helps too. When they come back to back, it's devastating.
Isn't there a dig through time involved? They're not really back to back.
Oh, I just meant in quick succession. Sorry, yeah, they probably weren't the 2 spells in a row, but
Yeah, it played out very much like beatdown versus control, right? Mm-hmm. Ari's got to apply pressure and try to get David to fall over before he can take control of the game, which is basically what happens. Now, what do you think happens with sideboarding here?
I think Abrupt Decay is extremely important. He already mains 2. I think he'll want to bring in the 3rd. But other than that, I think Click plays a good role here. Probably wants another Jace. Even though he managed to stick one there, and it was very important. They don't always live that long, but sometimes even just bouncing a creature and making them attack it is plenty. Like if you're really playing control versus beatdown, yeah, it's just 4 mana, unsummon, gain a few life.
You know, Ari's sideboard has the ability to go more control-ish, right? He can bring in a Jace, he can bring in another Liliana, he can go meddling mages, he can kill creatures. A couple Zealous Persecutions could be really good against the Delver decks, especially the young Pyromancer decks.
Yes. I think the Relic of Progenitus might be a thing here. He thinks it's just getting too many cards in the graveyard set up that he can just
Sure.
keep him off his digs.
All right, well.
And we're off. Top versus Shaman into Ponder.
Ari ponders and keeps them, looks like.
Yeah.
Shaman gets in for one.
And ponder back.
Attention players, we have 3 spots left in our Modern Masters draft.
So both players
If you'd
just
like to sign up
developing,
for this event,
trying to
please come see
forward
us
their
at the
plan.
Side Event stage.
Here's Stoneforge Mystic.
We have seen this path in the past.
Yeah, and it resolves.
Is that Sword of Feast or Famine?
I believe that was a sword. Feast and Famine is the one in his sideboard. Yes, that is exactly what he got.
So which 2 abilities does Feast and Famine trigger?
I think it's protection from black and green is the important part.
I don't know. David's hitting his land drops, has the top. The sword is nice, but I mean, he's still at 19 life.
It's discard and untap your lands is the real answer to your question.
Ah, there we go. Yeah, Ari's deck is a really hard time with Deed. I mean, we saw Deed working overtime last game, and I think that has to be where this game is headed as well. I mean, he pondered and left on top. He's got top, a Sensei's Divining top with Sackland. I have to believe he's not missing a whole lot right now.
Wow. Force of will to stop Vendilion Click. Ari not interested in losing his sword. This is Ari's draw step, right? So he could, in theory, have responded by putting the sword into play.
Yeah, but if you have the Force of Will, like, you just don't want that creature in play anyway.
Yeah, having the 3/1 on the other side, certainly. Also relevant. Activate Stoneforge for the sword. It's got the mana left over to equip it. Deathrite crunches over for 3 and a card. And I'll untap these 4 lands.
Yeah, that's all. Don't mind me.
Wow, Jace gets discarded. And Ari
Cruising.
is going on a cruise. Four mana for draw 3 cards, still fine. Still
concentrate.
just fine. There's the Veteran Explorer.
Ooh, and a Deluge.
Aha! I love it. First I'll play my creature, then I'll kill all the creatures.
Yeah. And I'll just run 4 life through this thing. Now, is Veteran Explorer just go get 2 basics?
When Veteran Explorer dies, each player may search his or her library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield. Does Ari have any basic lands in his list?
I would bet not.
That answer is no. Yeah, no, Veteran Explorer in a field where opponents tend just to not have any basics, not bad. And they go into play, too. It's not like they go into your hand.
Yeah, no
They
basics.
go into
I mean,
play.
I think I see more basics than that in most lists in Vintage.
Meddling Mage. That's one way to deal with Pernicious Deed. I don't know if that's what he named, but it seems like what I would name.
Seems strong.
Can we get a confirmation of what he named? We're working on that. And the mage picks up the sword.
Jace isn't a terrible choice either, but no, I think you just have to.
So picked up the sword, but yeah, okay. Can't attack because of summoning sickness, of course. The pro color will allow him to attack through that Baleful Strix.
Chris Pakula somewhere is happy to see his card in play.
More Cabal therapies. He did name Pernicious Deed. We've got that confirmed.
Deed.
All right. Ari reveals 2 cards. Baleful Strix gets in and attack. And doesn't look like David cares about those cards because he's not flashing back to therapy.
And he doesn't much care for the card in his hand, I'm guessing, either, because it's not going to be there much long.
Oh, it's a Notion Thief as a response to a Brainstorm! Wow!
Jeez. I guess he does care about the card in his hand. So does Ari.
That's insane.
Wow.
Ari goes for Brainstorm, which was that one of the cards David left and chose not to therapy? Or either that or it was off the top. I didn't get a quick look at Ari's hand, but Notion Thief is response to Brainstorm. So David gets to draw the 3 cards.
Jeez.
Ari still has to put 2 back.
Yeah.
So Ari's entire hand now on top of his library.
Just
David
dropped
with a
the
grip.
hammer.
And now here's a Thragtusk. David's Setka life gain is pretty important there, though. Because David's being hit by a 4/4 Pro Black and Green. He can't block. Down to 5. Ari's at 9.
I'm still
Ari
reeling.
loses this, right? You're still reeling from the Notion Thief?
I'm still reeling from the Notion Thief off the top row. Yeah.
David's deck is awesome.
This is great.
All right, crunch over. Notion Thief, Baleful Strix, Thragtusk. There's a Deathrite Shaman wielding a sword. Wait, what happened to the Deathrite Shaman? It blocked. The sword doesn't go to the graveyard. Oh, Abrupt Decay.
Oh.
Abrupt Decay on the sword, and David Malafarina defeats Ari Lax 2 games to 0.
Wow, I love it. Look at that note, the
Awesome.
one of Notion Thief, just out of nowhere. Right to the face.
David shows up with a deck that he's been playing for years, fine-tuning, tweaking. He's got a Cabal Therapy deck, Veteran Explorer in a metagame where nobody can get basics.
Yeah, no, it seems exceptional. It's just exactly what we were talking about. People have a deck. They play it all the time. They're exceptional at it. I mean, you have to know the format to just for your main deck discard to just be 4 therapies.
Yes.
Like, that's a lot of confidence.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't walk into this tournament like that. I don't know that I'd be able to just throw therapies to the wind and hit anything with any reliability.
And 2 copies of Dig Through Time and what he's added to his masterpiece.
Yep, and they're certainly effective that one draw step.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he chained through both of them in the first game when he was desperately digging. So Pernicious Deed was able to wipe away whatever Deathblade could get into play. I mean, Ari, it's not like Ari did anything wrong.
No. Well, I have no idea on the Brainstorm. I mean, you can't really see the Notion Thief coming. I'm not going to say it's wrong. It's just tough when your opponent only has 1 card in hand and you have a creature in play, and when you attack with it, your opponent has to discard it. Like,
what can it be?
yeah, I mean, you have to play that game. I don't think you ever actually end up coming up with Notion Thief, but like,
He could have waited for post-combat, right? He could have attacked first.
Yeah, that's
Knock
really
the
all
card
it was.
away.
Because you don't know what it is. I mean, I think he had 5 mana up because he topped at the end of it. So, I mean, it could have been a hard cast Force of Will. It could have been anything. Like, maybe you just send the creature in first. Then he has to drop Notion Thief. You still don't get to Brainstorm, or you can respond with a Brainstorm.
Yep.
I don't know. But
Does it actually affect... I mean, I think that David wins the race based on the cards anyway. It's just a question of whether, I mean, Ari's obviously multiple cards deeper into his library if he doesn't get his Brainstorm Notion Thieved.
Well, I mean, one of the cards in his hand at that point was obviously Deathrite Shaman.
So it comes out a turn earlier.
And I'm not sure what the other one is. But then you also get to see 3 more cards. Like,
True.
yeah, it's just, it's a big swing. It's a really big swing. But like I said,
Notion Thief for the win. Is that what you think we just watched?
I think it is. I mean,
Wow.
stranding those 2 cards on top of his deck while he got 3 cards deeper.
Yeah.
It's not like he's following up with that Thrag Tusk and the other gas without getting those 3 cards off his opponent's Brainstorm. But I mean, that being said, yes, Notion Thief is a card that exists. Like, we could see his deck list, and I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
I mean, from Ari's point of view, yeah, I mean, you can say it certainly would have gone differently had he made a different decision, but I don't know that you can really fault him for it. I mean, that kind of came out of left field.
All right, Shenhar has won his match, so we've got round 1 in the books now. Shahar's up a game, up a match. Ari Lax did not win his match, so the defending champ got some work to do if he wants to get back to this top 8.
It's going to be an uphill battle at this point, but I mean, wow, I'm very, very impressed with David's deck.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It actually just gets me excited for the future rounds. I mean, these people playing things that never even heard of before, playing it well, deck is built well. I mean, even looking at his list. I had tell this is a passion for him. I mean, this is his thing.
I had seen Veteran Explorer lists running around. I had not actually had the pleasure of watching one in action. That was fun.
Yeah, no, that was great. Yeah, the Explorers, Baleful Strix, just a bunch of different one-of creatures. I mean, just the fact in that first game, he was able to just keep digging and digging.
Was it 6 different one-of creatures?
Yeah, and
It's the kind of thing you have to either be very good at Magic or very bad at Magic to show up with 6 one-ofs in a deck with no tutoring.
yeah, just a single top, a single ponder. I mean,
Right.
I think your deck has gone through a lot of revisions when you just have 1 ponder. This isn't vintage. It's not restricted.
Jaime Cano.
No, wow, it was just an exceptional match. And I have a feeling we may see a little more of David later. It just seems like, I mean, kind of like we see in modern, some of the modern PTs and events. I mean,
specialists
the
can go pretty deep.
Yeah, they can really make it work. They just seem to understand the format better than all of the people who text themselves are playing every format and every limited format and everything. Like, if Legacy is just his thing, then he's got a great shot.
Shahar Shenhar's opponent, by the way, was Mike Simpson. I saw somebody asking about that in the chat.
So, been proven wrong a couple of times. No idea what David was going to do in game 1. He finally got there. We thought we'd be seeing a few Delver lists. Haven't seen one yet. So, just keep us guessing here at this event.
We saw a Treasure Cruise. Although Dig Through Time leads Treasure Cruise 2-1
Yeah, and
1-0 in matches.
And just that dig right there, if it happened to be Treasure Cruise, it just would have been on the bottom of his deck.
True. Yeah, it was draw phase. Vendilion click in the middle of the draw phase. He was able to dig his response.
Yeah, dig and dig again and force a will it. I mean, that's impressive. I'll probably mention it 3 more times. So you guys will have to bear with me. I mean, yeah, draw step, go through 14 cards, force will your click, and still have the same number of cards in my hand as when we started this process. It doesn't get much better. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where things go from here. I hope we get to see a lot more pet decks. Like, that's what excites me.
I wouldn't mind talking to David at some point. He clearly knows what he's doing. All right, so we are done with our 2 round 1 matches. I don't know if we have a deck tech queued up, or should we just keep talking for a while? We'll keep talking for a little while. Let you guys know what's going on.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot of people milling around. It'll be interesting to see what the first round results were for some of our more notable players. I saw Rich Shea walking around. I'm sure Reed is around here somewhere. Well, make sure Reed of all people might not be done yet. But he likes to play deliberately.
Fair. I think we've got 10 or 15 minutes left in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, about a little under 10, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, I want to play a deck with Veteran Explorer now. just watching someone get to take 2 lands out of their deck, put them straight into play when their opponent just nods. Like, yep, you go right ahead.
Right, and his sequencing that turn was, I'm going to play a creature sweeper. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to summon a creature.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It doesn't get any better. Yeah, his deck, I mean, with the Deeds and Jaces, Consecrated Sphinx, Frost Titan, I mean, when he gets his lands into play, he can do some very, very powerful things. Yeah. It's funny, yeah, and I really like the way Deathblade is situated in this tournament with as much Delver as I thought it would be. Oh, and
you know what?
Here's David now.
Absolutely. Let's get him in here.
So I just bring a chair in?
Sure, kind of at that.
Can't see those deck lists, but let's see. I can't tell. Awesome.
All right. Hello.
Good job.
Thank you.
So tell me about that match from your perspective.
I
did it go?
was terrified because I saw Relax's name and I'm like, yeah, that's horrifying to see first round of Legacy when I haven't played Legacy, and I honestly have not played Legacy in like 6 months.
Really?
Yes. I just picked up this deck last week.
Okay.
I've been jamming games all week with it. So.
Okay, it sounded like you a lot of the choices were sort of your take, and you felt like you'd had a lot of time going into this.
I've had experience with decks like Birthing Pod in the past, and I felt like Nick Fit is the Legacy equivalent of a Birthing Pod deck, because I basically get to play a bunch of sweet one-ofs that no one's ready for. So
like Notion Thief?
Like Notion Thief and Frost Titan and Consecrated Sphinx, just all these great cards that I play in EDH, but don't, you know.
Okay, so you see Ari's name.
Yeah.
Then you hear the announcement for the feature match, probably.
Yeah. And then I hear all my friends shout, ah! It's like, you know, they're excited for me.
Awesome. So then walk me through game 1. He goes for the quick batter skull. Pretty much had you back against the wall for most of that game, it looked like.
I forgot that the Deathblade Shamans could actually help him equip the Batter Skull to the Jace, which is when I plus the Jace, and that was, I'm like, all right. But then he actually said to me in the match, he's like, I'm hoping you're not the Pernicious Steed version of this deck. And then when I ripped the Pernicious Steed, I'm like, all right, I think I can get this game back in. Still have my back against the wall most of the game, but I was trying to just maneuver it to a board state where Pernicious Steed would knock him out of all of his relevant stuff, like all the equipment. And then I could just start dropping haymakers on him. Thragtusk was a huge help, though. Like,
yeah, it bought you time, right?
5 life double block.
5 life block. So
that was a last-minute addition to the main. Like, I originally had the Venser in the main, and I just switched them around because all my friends were saying there's a ton of burn and like aggro decks today. So I'm just like, I want the life gain.
Okay.
Yeah, and it helped. But
yeah, if it's any consolation, as I was commenting, I didn't catch on to the fact that the Batter Skull was going on that Stoneforge Mystic either.
Yeah. The big play though was when he clicked me, and I went dig through time into another dig through time to be able to force and still have something to do. Like, that actually is where the game turned around. Dig through time was one of those ones where I was playing the Caleb Durward version of this deck for like the whole week, and realized that I was losing because my Treasure Cruises, which is what he was playing, would just draw me into lands. And then I'm like, well, let me try Dig Through Time because this deck has a bunch of one-ofs, so why don't I play a card that just digs me 7 deep and gets me whatever I want?
Yeah.
And it's been awesome.
No, it seems incredible. It seems like a much better fit in your deck than Treasure Cruise. We were even discussing that had it been Treasure Cruise, it just would have been on the bottom of your deck.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like, that was actually a big thing because I was testing, my friend is playing Death and Taxes, and one of the big things they do is lock me out with Port. Yep. So being able to float the mana after a Port and then cast Dig Through Time just to get whatever I need is incredible. Like, the card is nuts. I'm playing in Standard too. That card is basically cheating.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So game 2, he goes Sword of Feast and Famine.
Yeah.
That can't be good for you.
I expected it. Like, I knew the Toxic Deluge was in the top cards at that point because I had pondered. Or topped. I had Sensei Divining topped. And I'm like, well, I can take a few hits from the sword. The Jace wasn't getting cast anytime soon, so I was happy to discard it. I didn't know he was going to keep in the forces, but I guess that makes sense because I have giant creatures. But I knew Toxic Deluge would give me the breathing room I needed to not have to worry about the sword as much.
Okay.
And then when I saw the Thragtusk off the Ponder, I'm like, well, that's going to keep me alive long enough to Abrupt Decay. That's pretty much how the deck functions, is I just have to answer everything they do, and then eventually I'll drop something that they actually can't deal with. So
that's pretty much what we watched.
Yeah, it was fun. My friends were laughing really hard when I Cabal Therapied and he had the Brainstorm in hand, and I'm just like, all right. And then I had Notion Thief in my hand at that point. They were all laughing, like they had to keep it quiet because they knew what I was doing.
Did you expect him to fall for that? I mean, because if he attacks you with a Feast and Famine creature, you adjust the Brainstorm in hand, right? Just the Notion Thief.
He was saying throughout the entire match how he'd had basically no experience playing against the deck, which is fine. It's a tier 2 deck. Like, not a lot of people play it. But I kind of figured he wouldn't see the Notion Thief coming, because that's one of those things. It's like, I just love it because there's such blowout potential in this format for it.
And so
then he goes for the Brainstorm.
Yeah.
So yeah, you set that up beautifully, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could have flashed back Cabal Therapy, but choose not to.
No, I just let him have it. I was like, whatever, it's fine.
So we just got a message that we're supposed to tell you that Casey said, well done.
Casey? Oh, I know who that is. All right, cool. Thanks.
That Notion Thief was quite the blowout.
It was fun. There's a few, like the Glen Elendra is a fun card too that I just added recently. It gives me a better Miracles matchup, which I was having a little trouble with. And just, Thragtusk is a sweet one of. It used to have Grave Titan also instead of Frost Titan, but with if there's a lot of show and tell, I'm more worried about like them showing telling in a Grizzlebrand or like an Emrakul. If I show and tell on a Frost Titan, like they just their big creatures locked down, and it also pitches to Force well, which is a thing in this format.
It is definitely a thing. Did you consider at all countering the Jitte with Glen Elendra?
I did, but he had the Deathrite active, and I wanted him to have to not like suicide a creature into the Glen Elendra, because at that point my back's against the wall. I need my Jace to survive.
Right.
Mm-hmm. If I had countered his Jitte, he would have eaten it with the Deathrite Gem, and I wouldn't have been able to block for the Jace.
Yeah,
so I needed to be able to block for the Jace, so I could actually because Jace was going to win me the game. I needed to draw cards. I had nothing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we missed the fact that Deathrite can eat it as a response to the Persist trigger.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jace was still at 2 counters and only gets attacked for 1 that turn. But it's still
he taps the Deathrite.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's like I'd rather keep the Glen Elendra and make him have to play around it, because it also seemed like he didn't know he wasn't used to playing against the card. Mm-hmm. So I felt like he might misplay against it a little bit. So it's one of those.
It's a bold line against Arilax.
Yeah, I know. Well, he kept making it look like he had no idea what the hell I was doing, which I don't know.
So now that's something that Ari has caught flack on things like Twitch streams for the way that he chats during a match, and he's constantly predicting what you're going to play or talking about it. How did it?
I'm not saying I got inside his head. He was way better than me that entire match. The first game I thought I was dead, and then I just drew everything I needed and figured out the lines.
Okay.
Like he may have misplayed once or twice, but I would not say that he misplayed more than I did. I was lucky to come out of that first game alive.
Okay, but I mean, was the chatter helping you?
The chatter kind of helped me. It kind of helped me figure out what was going on.
Yeah, it sounds like Ari was actually leaking information there. Is what it sounds from your perspective.
I think it's easier to just put him in a place,
I've played against Deathblade before. I kind of know what the lines are for them.
Yeah.
Granted, I've never played it with this deck, but I just kind of know what's up at that point. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Cabal Therapy helps. Like, just being able to see their hand.
Sure.
You can pretty much figure out exactly what they're going to do for the rest of the game, which is why I've always loved that card. Like, I cut my teeth in Legacy playing Cabal Therapy and, like, the Gate, like the mono black Gate deck.
Wow.
So I love that card.
So did you have to travel far to get here?
I actually am from Allentown. It's like an hour north of here.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not very far. It's a nice weekend trip.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever done Eternal Weekend, though. I'm actually really excited about this.
You playing tomorrow?
I can't get Vintage together in time. I would be playing the Epic Storm or the Perfect Storm, because we do proxy Vintage at our shop, and that's the deck I've had the most fun with, because I like just going turn 1, do a Force of Will, and then I just win.
Legacy Championship competitors, that is time in the round.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Active player finish your turn.
All right, well, sounds like we've had time called in the round. Thanks for coming and chatting with us.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Good job.
Congrats on round
Keep
1.
winning. Maybe
Thank you
we'll
very
get you on again.
Maybe. We'll see.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
That was awesome. I'm glad we got the chance to chat with him.
Yeah, nice guy.
Definitely.
No, and it'll be interesting. I think we're just going to see a bunch of wild cards flying around on camera today.
Yeah, and then the distinction between sort of the format specialists, the guys who, they know all the Deathblade lines versus all the different decks, as opposed to, the Platinum pros who do not spend the majority of their Magic energy on Legacy specifically.
Well, I mean, even Ari in particular, I think he spends more time in Eternal formats than
most.
A lot of the other pros.
Agreed.
And yeah, it's even just to his point when he said, "I hope you're not playing the Pernicious Deed version of this deck." Well, If I was an Ari seed, I wouldn't realize there was a pernicious
right.
deed
No,
version of
that
this
is
deck.
definitely an insightful comment from Ari.
Yeah.
To know that that you have a really bad matchup against that variant of that deck. Does show off a certain knowledge of the format. It also kind of leaks the fact that you make your opponent feel better when he is playing the pernicious deed version of the deck. I don't know. Maybe Ari's hoping he can get a tell so that he knows. It was just bad once pernicious deeds started happening, though.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot Deathblade can do about deeds, especially when it's plural.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I felt like Ari's approach to the matchup was reasonable. He did get blown out by Brainstorm Notion Thief, which maybe that's his fault. It's not.
I mean, it's one of those things that it's preventable, but I mean, if
It's
you're
more
going to spend,
hat tip to David, I think, than
yeah,
you
I think
know.
if you're going to spend that kind of brain power every round figuring out every card in Magic you could play around, that's not going to go well for
your
you.
brain is going to be a pile of goo by mid-afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said, like, yes, I think he could. I think it could have gone differently, but I can't really fault him for it.
All right, so do we have a deck tech for... All right, round one, time has been called. They're in extra turns. We're going to let you guys watch. We recorded a couple of deck techs yesterday, and we will throw one of them up. Bob and I will take a quick break, and we'll be back with round two coverage of the Legacy Championships. So stay tuned.